Hey, welcome back to the Métropole Grid. My name is Andre. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today, we're back in startup with a deck dive on a deck I call Mad World. This is a near-Earth hub deck that is playing Mutually Assured Destruction, one of the flashy new cards from the Borealis cycle that I haven't had enough time to play or let alone even try in startup. And let me tell you, before we dive into this deck, that this is probably one of my favorite corp decks in the startup format. Now we're going to go through and talk about each card individually, but I'm going to start on a higher level to talk about the macro strategy with this deck. So firstly, we're playing Near-Earth Hub Broadcast Center. This is an NBN identity with 17 influence, and we're going to get good value out of that. But it says the first time each turn we make a new remote server, so that's either install a new asset into a new remote server or even pre-ice a new server, we get a card draw. That's really valuable. If you look at this list, we're running 16 assets. Most of these assets generally cost us less to res than it costs for the opponent to trash. And the idea here is that the more things we install, the more card draw we get, and it's easier for us to spam things out horizontally into space. Now we get good value from a lot of these assets, and it's hard for the runner to check all of these, let alone trash the right ones. And at the same time, we're going to put out some cheap, good end the run ice, and behind it, either score out some cheeky early agendas, get some fast advance going. And then once we hit the mid to late game, once we got a lot of stuff res, a lot of this stuff might not scale too well into the late game, we can go ahead and destroy all of it with Mutually Assured Destruction, trashing as many res cards as we have to give the runner an equal amount of tags. Now, tag punishment is technically alive and well in startup, but there's not a lot of tag punishment that scales with the amount of tags that the runner has. And the biggest thing we have access to, of course, here is psychographics, which allows you to advance a card equal to the amount of tags that the runner has, or up to that amount of tags. And this is how we close the game. At this point in the game, we probably have 3 or 4 agenda points. Let's go ahead and psychographics out an agenda to close the game. And Project Beale here, a 3-2 agenda, works really well with their fast advance plan. But the big thing with this agenda is that if you over advance it, it becomes a bigger and bigger agenda. It's a 3-2 at base, a 5-3 if you want to keep going, a 4-7, and this scales all the way up to a 13 advancement to gain you 7 points. I haven't done it, and I don't think it's very realistic, but if you can get 13 tags and psychographics this for 13, you can score with one single agenda. That's pretty exciting. Now that's the list. Let's start talking through it and breaking it down. First, let's talk about the agendas. We're running 10 agendas, and the majority of them are 3 advancement cost agendas. The only ones that are not is we're running 3 Bologna. Not much has to be said about Bologna. This, with 3 of them, is taking 9 of the agenda points in our deck. That thins the amount of agendas we have to play. We're playing a lot of smaller ones. And on its own, it's not a card we can fast advance, but a 5-3 that costs 5 credits for the runner to steal, and we get 5 credits back if we score it, is fantastic. We're going to be putting a lot of assets on the table, and if the runner is spending a lot of time in economy trashing those assets, it's actually very easy for us to get an early Bologna behind some ice if the runner's economy hasn't kept up with the threats we're putting on the table. You'll see this in one of the games specifically, but this is always a card you can fall back on. It protects itself in central servers. In a remote server, it's hard to steal after they get through the ice, and it's just absolutely fantastic in NBN. Then we look at all the 3 advancement agendas. Firstly, we have 3 license acquisitions. Now, this is a 1-point agenda, which on its own doesn't inherently help us that easily to get to 7 points. If we score one of these, we're generally trying to score out all the 2-pointers after that. But the cool thing is if this is stolen, it generally doesn't change the amount of agendas that the runner has to steal to win the game. The big thing about this agenda, though, is its text. When it's scored, we can install and res a card from HQ or archives at no additional cost. It's all for free, which is fantastic. We have some very big hits in this deck, but if we can score out an early license acquisition, either put it on the table and not ice it, again, we'll talk about how we can do that pretty well, or get it behind an ice in the early game, we can score this out and res some pretty meaningful stuff. The big thing here is, of course, Sansan City Grid at 6 to res. This is a fantastic card. You'll see just about all our agendas cost 3 advancements. This makes them 2 advanced costs, so we can start fast advancing them. But if we can get a Sansan res out for free, we're in a really good spot, let alone getting free ice, getting free assets, getting card draw. That's phenomenal. Of course, we have the 3 Beales. This is our big way to close the game in a flashy way with psychographics after a Mutually Assured Destruction, but on its own, 3-2 is really great. We can fast advance these out as 2-2 agendas, or if you want to be really brave, you can start advancing them and become a 5-3 is, I think, pretty reasonable. Finally, we have a Tomorrow's Headline. It's just a 3-2 agenda on its own with text that is kind of annoying. We don't have a lot of good ways to score this while having extra clicks left to go trash resources. We don't have a lot of single tag punishment, but if the runner steals one of these too late in the turn, sometimes we can go over and trash their resources. It's phenomenal. Next up, the assets, and we're playing 16 of them. Again, with Near-Earth Hub, the first time we build a new remote server, we get to draw a card. So a lot of times we're using this and they basically just replace themselves. The first asset we install a turn draws a new card, hopefully another asset. And we can put enough things on the table that it's either not financially feasible or the runner just doesn't have time to go trash all of them, let alone even check all of the face down cards. This means a lot of times we can just put a license acquisition into a remote server if we see, again, the runner's not checking all of them and score that out when it makes sense. But otherwise, we have Daily Business Show to start. We're playing 3 copies of this, 4 to trash, 2 to res. It's going to be like an overarching thing with our assets. They're generally much more expensive to trash than to res. And this card gives us filtered card draw. So it says the first time a turn we draw additional cards equal to the amount of Daily Business Shows, and we keep the card we want and put all the others on the bottom of R&D in the order of our choice. This is really important. Just having 1 Daily Business Show in the early game means that your draws off the top of R&D are going to be probably the best draws you can ask for. If you see an agenda and an asset and you don't want an early agenda, you're just not going to draw the agenda. Now, of course, the agendas also go to the bottom of R&D, and while it's important to track how those slowly rise throughout the game, that means that there's less reason you have to defend R&D. Those agendas are basically out of the game unless the runner can figure out how to shuffle R&D, which it's not that easy. This is so important. And again, this just solves HQ pressure. This makes sure that you're drawing into the right assets to continue to spam out. It makes sure you're drawing into their combo pieces, and we're technically a bit of a combo deck. This card has to be respected, and I find a lot of runners don't trash this as quickly and as they should. Having bad card draw, having an ugly draw can lose corpse games pretty easily, and this is a very important card. On top of that, it says the first time a turn you draw a card, you can filter it, which means if you do something like a spin doctor to draw cards on the opponent's turn, you get the extra value as well. So hopefully you can trigger this more than just once a turn. You do it once on your turn, once on the opponent's. We have 3 Maryland campaign. Again, most of our economy in this deck is actually on assets. So we're going to play a fair few assets that give us credits. We're not on hedge fund in this deck, which is pretty wild. But the idea is that this card, install it, draw another card. The opponent generally doesn't love trashing these because it just kind of feels like a losing battle sometimes when it just shuffles back. But we need to get economy. We need to get res cards. This is fantastic. Now, shuffling it back is actually pretty interesting. And this is one of the decks where I think there are a lot of board states where you actually consider not triggering the Maryland campaign ability. If it's the early game and you've seen already like 3 agendas and you bottomed them to the bottom of the deck with the Daily Business Show, you might not want to shuffle the deck. So you might say the Maryland is fine. It can just get trashed and you can bring it back maybe later with a spin doctor. But just keep that in mind. I think there are some turns where you don't want to shuffle the Maryland back because you know where the agendas are. And equally, there are some times where you know the agendas are on the bottom of the deck and you want to force a shuffle because you're looking to fast events out. So kind of interesting. We have 3 pad campaign. Again, not much has to be said here. It's technically credit negative the turn you res it, but it is, again, higher trash costs to res costs. A lot of runners don't want to trash this, but a lot of them should, because this is a fair bit of the money in our deck is on these assets. If they can control our assets, we don't have a lot of economy, but 4 to trash is a fair bit. Speaking of money, this is Regolith. This is a card that you could get back with your license acquisition. It's a card you generally want to put behind ice if you're expecting to get the value off of it. The cool thing is if you have money, this is a card you can install into a new remote server just to draw a card with the Near Earth Hub ability. But a lot of times this will be your big burst money to set you up to have enough money to do mad into psychographics, but it's quite good. We have 3 Spin Doctor. What deck just about doesn't? This is amazing in Near Earth Hub, where if you crack this with a Daily Business Show on your opponent's turn, you get additional filtered card draw. But on top of this, this is a click for 3 card draw with Near Earth Hub, as long as you're firing the Near Earth Hub ability. It's phenomenal. It's recursion. Again, just watch out when you want to and when you don't want to shuffle your deck. Finally, we have a single copy of a tiered subscription. I think this is a pretty easy card to play in Near Earth Hub decks. The problem with this card to me, while it does replace itself when you build a new remote server, 3 to trash, 0 to res, phenomenal, is that you have to pre-res it. So the opponent knows what this is a lot of the time if you want to get value out of this. And this kind of looks like a pad campaign. It technically pays off less consistently, but it also pays off quicker because it doesn't cost anything to res. You can get value at the turn after. With this card, I kind of have mixed feelings on it. A lot of times runners will take these down because they fear this. They know they're gonna have to run a lot. And we wanna keep cards on our table res to do a mutually assured destruction. So a lot of times if I have this early, I will try and ice it up because generally it does stick behind a single piece of ice. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but definitely not the worst card for a Near Earth Hub deck. Finally, in terms of upgrades, we have Santan City Grid. We have 2 of these. I think there are reasons why you could consider 3, but we have other win conditions besides just straight Sansan fast advance. And this card's phenomenal. It's very expensive to res. But once it is rezzed, all your agendas besides Bologna can be scored straight from hand. And 5 credits is a lot to trash this. If you can get this behind a gold farmer, maybe 2 pieces of ice, it's actually a fair bit of economy for the runner to deal with that. Maybe at the same time, they've been spending more of their economy dealing with your other assets, so this could stick. Now, pinhole threading is alive and well, so getting this behind 2 ice is never a foolproof plan, but this is one of the best targets with license acquisition, and it's something that the runner needs to deal with or they can lose the game quite quickly. I'm going to jump over to the ice here. In terms of ice, we only have 13 ice, which doesn't sound like a lot, but with the Near Earth Hub card draw, with the filtered card draw from Daily Business Show, this actually goes a bit farther than you think. You do end up drawing into just about the right amount of ice that you need, but we're running more assets. That's the way they were trying to tax out the opponent, not so much building ridiculous remote servers. Firstly, of course, we're NBN, we're playing startup, we're playing 3 gold farmer. It's phenomenal. This card's banned in standard for being too good, legal in startup, and it's just really taxing any way you slice it. This card, a lot of times, you could consider putting on central servers. On the remote server, it's fantastic because it's a very expensive thing to go through. Actually, you can put it just about anywhere. It's great. It's Gold Farmer. In terms of code gates, we have 2 Enigmas. We just wanted an amount of hard end the runs just so that we can score out an early license acquisition. We can stick a regolith. We can protect a Sansan City grid. And this has a pretty reasonable face check. Now, of course, it's not going to scale well into the mid to late game. Eventually, runners are breaking this relatively cheaply. But again, at the mid to late game, we can go trash some of our res cards that are not working for us and make them into tags with mutually assured destruction. Speaking of that, we have 3 pop-up window. Just a really fun card. It's so easy to res on just about any board state. It costs a credit to go through this. Again, that does help protect some of your assets. It sometimes looks scarier than it is when it's just an unresed ice. But this is another card that doesn't scale too well into the mid to late game. Go ahead and mutually assured destruction it, but it's fantastic. It's just good enough and it's so easy to res. We're now running more sentries than I thought we would in a Near Earth Hub deck. We're running a single drafter, and I wish we could play more of this. A lot of times when you're running into NBN, you're not too quick to get down a killer to deal with sentries because the sentries aren't that bad. It's not like you're playing against HB, which has some really rude ones like this one, or against Jinteki that can flatline you. But Drafter is like the best ice in this deck. If a runner runs into this, not only do you get recursion of cards that they probably spent good money trashing, but if you build a new remote server with the install from the Drafter, that's the first time a turn you built a new remote server, and then you get the card draw from Near Earth Hub and maybe even additional filtering from Daily Business Show. This is just a really brutal face check, and I wish we could run more of them, but we have some influence constraints here, and we're spending a lot of our influence on really big flashy cards, but this thing's phenomenal. In terms of sentries, I'm running 3 F2P, and this is something that I've kind of cribbed off of the deck that came in, I believe, second at Startup World Championship. This card just looks taxing enough. We eventually will tag the runners, so they can't pay their way through this. They actually have to break it. But in terms of killers in the startup format, I don't think there's anything that's too fantastic, barring, of course, Begulter, which is pretty popular. However, this still turns out to be pretty taxing. Whether they have the Begulter or not, they're just paying 4 credits to get through this. On central servers, it looks a bit more ugly if a runner has a Chesva and they're only paying 2 credits. But on its own, this has just been proving to be taxing enough, and the subroutines are relevant. The runner paying 4 through this while you've resed it for 4 is a pretty good enough trade. Of course, endurance and all that, but what can we do? And finally, we have a single Tithe. This was just a fun, cheap include. Again, it's a more surprising face check sometimes than you might consider, especially if you're a criminal and you don't have any recursion. But it's another thing that's really cheap and easy to res on most board states. And then, of course, it gets fed to the mutually assured destruction. And finally, our operations, and that's where this deck gets, I think, the most interesting. We're running 2 copies of mutually assured destruction. This makes us spend our whole turn to trash as many resed cards as we want to give the runner an equal amount of tags. Firstly, with our deck having so many assets, those are cards that we can res largely whenever we want, which means that as long as the runner's not trashing everything, we should have a lot of targets inherent if the runner's interacting with us or not. Now, you can also trash ice, and we went our way to make sure we have a lot of ice that is really easy to res. It's not too expensive, that we don't mind trashing to the mid to late game, but that's sometimes a struggle with mutually assured destruction decks. If you don't have enough stuff that you can res and go out of your way to get res, this doesn't give that much value. But luckily, with, 17 assets, 16 assets, we can kind of get there. On top of that, in startup, there's not a lot of good ways to remove a lot of tags at once. In fact, there's no ways to do that really efficiently. There are a lot of runners that are running single tag removal, with cards like No Free Lunch being pretty prevalent in the meta right now, but there's just about no runner that can get away with clearing like 7 tags somewhere in the mid game. So at that point, they probably just don't clear the tags, and that's where we're hoping that the game ends up. And when I play this deck, I generally want to go for like a really quick finish after a mutually assured destruction. It's pretty exciting, but I do think there's a bit more board states where you can go for a tempo mad and just, give them tags and then try and close the game in 2 or 3 turns as opposed to just the next turn, which is generally how I've been playing it. This card's really exciting. I'm so happy to be able to play it and do its thing because we have the best finisher with this, and that's Psychographics. Psychographics, again, gives a card advancements as long as you can pay up to the amount of tags that the runner has. And we talked about how this can just end the game. If you're on 4 points, it's easy. You can get a Bologna scored from hand pretty trivially. But of course, Project Beale's the big one here. You can make this a 13 advancement, 7-point agenda, or any increment below that. A lot of times you might be short 4 points as long as they have, 7 tags? That's 4 agenda points, which is phenomenal and a very big surprise sometimes, as long as you have the economy and as long as they're sticking the requisite tags. On top of that, we have a single biotic labor, and this on its own actually really works well with our fast advance plan. The idea is with so many 3 advancement requirement agendas, we can just biotic, install, advance, advance, advance. If we're scoring out a Beale to win, phenomenal. A headline, okay. A license acquisition to get back a Sansan, that's interesting, a bit expensive, but interesting. But the coolest play we have with this is that if we have on the table, say a Beale or a Bologna, and it's stuck on the table for a single turn, and it goes back to us. As long as we have in hand a mutually assured destruction, a biotic labor, and a psychographics, we can biotic for 4 clicks, mutually assured destruction to get enough tags to close the game, and just psychographics then and there. This means that you can get the big Beale if you stick the Beale, and I go on my way to try and do it. I think I goof it once or twice in the next videos, but it's a really exciting way and a flexible card to give you a couple more ways out. And finally, we have predictive planogram. You might notice this deck is not running hedge fund, and that's because this deck generally gets more value by putting things into your new remote servers and drawing cards and trying to get an economic advantage off of assets. Now, hedge fund is definitely a playable card. We're playing planogram in that slot. It can give us card draw if we want, which means we can spam more things on the table, or just 3 credits. And a lot of times with this deck, your early game economy is kind of fragile. If you have to res an ice on central servers and res like a daily business show or a pad campaign, you're generally starting your turn with 2 to 3 credits. And at that point, this is the economy card you're looking for. On top of that, if the runner is tagged because you mutually assured destructed them, this is a card that gives you 3 cards and 3 credits for a single click, which helps you fund, let alone find some of the combo pieces like psychographics or the Beale. And it's a really nice way to ensure that you're getting your pieces together. And that's this list. And then we have a couple games coming up, and this has just been a lot of fun. You get to play that Near Earth Hub fast advance. You get a bluff on the table. Ooh, is that an agenda? Is that just another pad campaign? And on top of that, you have the really flashy finishes where you mutually assure destruction nearly the entire board to see if you can hang on for one more turn to psychographics out some giant Beals. And this has been just a lot of fun. We have a couple games coming up. Again, if you like this video, you like this series, it really helps the channel grow. If you want to give this video a like, leave a comment, of course, subscribe to the channel. And without further ado, here's some games. Enjoy. All right, we're playing some startup. We're playing a mutually assured destruction deck here near Earth Hub. So we're near Earth Hub, 17 influence. We use that, and we're gonna go horizontal. We want to get a lot of cards on the table and resed because we're gonna trash all of them to get a lot of tags and hopefully score out agendas like a Beale with psychographics. That's the plan. It's our first time out, so we'll see how it goes. We're playing against Padma. So no surprise, we're gonna be seeing endurance here, very likely. Our hand is actually pretty okay. We can mulligan. We definitely want to get an ice on R&D so Padma isn't getting free charges by just running R&D. Pop-up or F2P would do, but I'm going to mulligan. I want to put more things on the table. The only thing we really want to jam on the table is daily business show. But we could easily get like, that's comparable. I was looking for Maryland's or pad campaigns, anything that will get us economy, because most of the economy in this deck is on the remote servers. So the first time we make a new remote server, we draw a card. Okay. It's either ice HQ or R&D. I'm going to ice both of them. Not that we can res both of them. But at least Gold Farmer is taxing to deal with. Even if you go through this endurance, it costs you 2 credits. And this is Padma, and she says, first time a turn you run HQ, or sorry, R&D, when the run begins, you get a charge. So Earthrise Hotel is a big target. Dirty Laundry. Just checking archives. Here you might as well just check server 1 to find out what it is usually. There's nothing that, like, you're not expecting Urticas or snares, so that's just 3 credits. And a Stone Shit Chart Room, another charge card. We're going to have to zoom out actually a fair bit in this matchup if we're going horizontal. At the cost of our economy, let's res our daily business show to make sure we're not drawing more agendas. We have a pad campaign. And so let's just put some stuff out. Let's see how strong their economy is, because they're going to need to try and trash our stuff. That's, again, where our value is. We could get down to license. Doesn't really matter. I'm just going to click for credits. We're going to have to ice both of these or res both of these soon enough. Not that we can here, but they have a lot of money. 12 credits means endurance can come down. They creative last click. It's hard to tell how quickly we can like push for a remote server, because an endurance kind of changes that entirely. There's not a lot of NB and ice that deals well into the endurance. A lot of this stuff has 2 subroutines. But the question is, if they're not running the table, we can get like a license acquisition down and just use that to even like score a daily business show. There's the endurance. So they're going to run once per turn. Or res the pad. Again, we just want resed cards to mutually assure destruction. It's a tiered or a pad campaign. The tiered is more likely to get actual immediate value. They'll probably end up trashing this, but if they want to run once per turn for the endurance, we can consider icing it up actually. Probably do. Just a pop-up window is good enough. So we can put that in server 3, click for credit. We'll res this. Again, if they res a pop-up window, it's another cheap res. So we can give them 4 tags if we draw mutually assured destruction. Again, at that point, we still need money, because if they have 4 tags with psychographics, we can score out. And so we're hoping that holds off. And here they probably don't want to draw. But I think we could put a license acquisition on the table and just kind of risk it. And when this is scored, we can install and res a card from HQ or archives. Just an F2P is like okay, because we don't have to pay 4 credits for that. And our economy is really lacking right now. Versions of this sort of deck, like not with the mutually assured destruction, but Near Earth Hub did really well at Startup Worlds this year. I think it was a version with Bladderwort came in second, if I'm not mistaken, top at Swiss. But that had a lot of fast advance with like 3 copies of Sansan City Grid, which is expensive, and that's why you play license acquisition. All right, so we're getting a credit off the tiered subscription. They charge their boat. We're going to res a Gold Farmer here. It's half our money. But now if they want to go through this, it's going to cost them 2 more credits. And at that point, they can't steal Bologna. Not that they can already. Here they could probably just end the run again. That's the issue of having to end the run on the outside of R&D. They can just run it and bounce into it to get a bow counter. But they're going to go through. They lose 2. Mind you, this card's banned in standard, legal, and startup. See the top of R&D. Not many cards in our deck they can trash. They can't steal the Bolognas. We know 1 Bologna's on the bottom because of Daily Business Show. They only have 2 credits. They could try and run this. Again, this is 3 to trash. We only have 1 in the list. Maybe we should play more, but I think people trash these. And we, funny enough, want to play cards that people can't trash. This is an enigma. Fortunately, I'm going to res it. It eats bow counters. They will get through, so they can get 4 credits or a charge back. There's not that much we could res on 3. We have a lot of 4-cost ice. Drafter wouldn't have fired here, but we just want to tax out the bow counters. All right, they break it, hoping that they don't steal our Beale. Let's see what they pull here. 4 credits means they could interact with Bologna if we had one. They kind of need the money. Maybe last click they'll play a creative. Psychographics, okay, so they know we want to tag them. It's probably the best hit in our hand. Now they have 5 credits. They might try to run the tiered subscription. That's the case, they can still bring it down, but at least our pop-up window will do something. But when we're in 0, like that seems like a window to do this. Again, tagging, giving people a lot of tags right now in startup is pretty difficult. I'm pretty sure that in Parhealing, we're going to see more cards that interact with mass tags. Psychographics is really the only one. All the other tags, punishment in startup is single tag, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, if we saw mutually assured destruction, I think startup needs something to pair with it well. And currently it's the only card. All right. Threw out a second endurance, just drew a card, 5 credits. We're going to gain 1 off the top. We definitely want to get a regolith on the table. I think we can just put that out naked. We'll draw a card. Okay. Here they only have 1 bow counter. They can get more with Stone Chip. We could consider icing it up. I think that would mean they'll check it. If they check it, I think we're okay with it. And we'll have 3 credits if we click for a credit here, because as soon as they run this, we get our tiered credit. So in theory, if they're run, we're on 3 credits. So let's see. We need to land one of these because this is our big burst econ card. And at this point, we probably can start scoring out agendas on the table. I don't know if they have the economy to check this. Some of these shaper lists are running Aparicia. Again, just playing like Rizeki, which is legal in startup, kind of gets you most of the way there. Because it's just a credit a turn. You can do that for anything. It's kind of like half of a... Oh, Pinhole. Very good. So they're going to have the money for the regolith. So let's see which one they access. We get our credit. It's a regolith. That's going to be most of their money. They do get the bow counter though. So this is pretty good. And we can't really play around Pinhole. We're going to have open servers for sure. If we ice up archives, they still run server 1 or server 2. Now they're drawn up down to 2 credits. Again, they could still run this. I think we just get one of these on the table. And then after we empty it, we do 2 ice. But we're at the point where if we top deck something, we can give them like 6 tags. So we're getting there. We'll res. We're not going to get our nearest hub draw, but now we got the regolith on the table. But like now, mutually assured destruction, we should draw into it pretty quickly. We're drawing 2 a turn. And we've seen the bottom already, I think 4 or 5 cards of our deck. While it says 35, it's like we're drawing into a 30 card deck because we know the bottom and we haven't shuffled. And if we draw that, like we can just go give them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tags. And then from then, Psychographics Beale, we need the money for it. So we're going to try and get more stuff resed. And again, it's really easy to res assets because we can just res them. We don't need them to run into them. Boat on 2 counters, credit, probably sure gamble here on 5. Oh, daily cast. Okay, cool. That's money for them as well. And now they're not running, so we're not getting tiered. At least they're not getting bow counters. FTP or Enigma? FTP technically is, I think the Enigma is probably just about better, but they don't deal with sentries that well outside of boat, at least in this faction. So we'll get a new remote server out. Spin Doctor is nice. I think we're going to ice up this once more and hit this. Another good thing about license acquisition is that it allows us to res cards. So if we draw mutually assured destruction, we'll just have more stuff res as well. So they're on 4 credits here. We will consider resing our second daily business show. Again, we just want resed cards and our economy is pretty good here. Credit, gamble, they're on the money. They'll probably produce a breaker here. At this point, jamming into server. Okay, they're checking this. They probably don't want trash out. We got our credit off of the run. Feels good. They'll get a bow counter though. And if they have 2 bow counters, they can do this. So I think next turn we jam in the license acquisition after we empty this. All right, they're leaving it. We'll take it. Again, now running HQ is not that valuable. While we did have 2 agendas from our opening hand, the longer you leave a daily business show on the table, the less likely HQ pressure converts, because we're not going to be drawing agendas unless we want them. Daily business show low-key is like a very, very important trash. Just, you know, sometimes it's hard. Drafter, I want the ice. We have enough money. So we'll do 1, 2, and we'll get this in here. We can just get a piece of ice with this. Again, we spend our whole turn scoring it. At least we won't discard a card if we install something from hand. We could also like just go get another regolith, but I think we have the money sorted. Oh, we forgot to res the daily business show. Okay, we'll get that next time. Ooh, nice, bravado. This definitely helps. There's still a fair few agendas in there. They're going to have the bravado credits as well. But we need a double ice R&D sooner than later. Fire? Oh, they're breaking this for 6. Now, oh, they're just bouncing off it. I thought they'd go through that, right? Like, we know on our side, we haven't seen that many agendas. We've seen 1 Bologna bottomed and then 2 agendas. So there's actually a lot of agendas in R&D. So I think if we score this out, we're going to try and get like an F2P on R&D. So they just can't bounce off of it because they can always spend a click to run here just to get a boat charge. That's comparable to running anything else. But we also got our tiered subscription, of course. So they have 14 credits though. They need to produce breakers. We haven't seen a single Rozeki yet, which is super surprising. That's a scary card. Banned again in standard, illegal in startup. Just credits, just free credits. Okay, we're going in, that's why. 13 credits, running server 4. They have enough counters here, that's fine. Unfortunately, it's like really hard into the depths. They will recover a lot by going through this. But there's an F2P, they can pay 4 here. And at least this will empty like some of their boat. They'll get 2 charges back. They're just paying 4. All right, so not even. There's a gold farmer. Okay, so this is either 6 or 2 bow counters and 2 credits. All right, they're spending real resources running this, which is good. So now they can make 2 choices, and that's really scary. A Rozeki can come out, which is often pretty good. I think the charge is pretty good. Again, we have no unfair ways. I think we're better at like jamming horizontal than putting stuff. So it's power counter, and they're going to steal our 1 pointer, which we have 3 of these, so we don't mind. Oh, there's a Rozeki. Okay, so now they have the money they need to trash things. Drawing up. Again, it's hard. We're just behind 1 boat and we're struggling. We'll figure it out. 5 cards in hand. Okay, we're going to res this one. So now we draw 3 bottom 1. We have the Mad. Now we could jam in the Saiyan. I'm kind of okay with jamming the Saiyan into the remote server. Because if they have that, we can score out this Beale. Otherwise, we can Mad this turn and trash 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can give them 8 tags. Which next turn to be on 11, so they can clear 4 tags. It's not amazing. I think we'll try and finish with that. So we'll just take the Saiyan, I think. It's one of the best things we can put in the remote server. This is another resable. Oh, that's great. And if we res this on their turn, it'll trigger the daily business show because it's the first time a turn that we draw. Yeah, I don't know if we need the draw. But now they're going to be on 9, 10, 11, sorry, 12 credits. I forgot the Rozeki. But this one's a bit more expensive to deal with. We've seen 1 pinhole threading so far, 2 into the depths. That's a very powerful card that they can burst with. We've played 2 of them. Oh, another pinhole threading. Hate to see it. This is a good deck. Is this the world's winning deck? This is no. Yeah, this is a good deck. Pinhole threading. It's going to be 5 to bring down Saiyan. At least if we top deck a biotic, we can just biotic it back. So that goes down for 5. That is a lot of their money. In terms of mutually, we could consider if they dump load it. I don't know what they have to do here to lose a lot of credits. Probably install like a breaker. Drawing up. See how good those pinholes are, huh? Buys them like a huge amount of value. It's an agenda they know they can run. They're still getting their bow counter, Earthrise. Okay, so now they could run R&D to get Earthrise charges. This is actually a good window maybe to do a mutually assured if we draw one. And I think we'll res the Spin Doctor on their turn so that we can draw, what is it, 4 bottom 2? It's also another resed card. So, all right, so next turn they'll be on 6 credits. We'll res this on their turn to get our trigger. So I'm going to bottom the Beale. And I think the pop-up, the Gold Farmer is one of the best things we have. And now we'll get our draw here. We have another Sand, which is good. We don't need another one of those. Our money's kind of dried up a bit. Okay, what are we doing here? So we can get the Sand in server 4. And then we need to ice up Centrals a bit better. It's too expensive to put more ice on there. So we want to do something that isn't just an end the run so they can't bounce off of it. Where do we put the Gold Farmer? We want the Gold Farmer resed. We can always put it on HQ just so when we mad that we have more ice there. So now this is all the bow counters. This is a Sand. We need 6, 7, 8, 9. We have enough. We definitely want to get this thing down. I don't know if they're on 3 pinhole threading. We can put this on server 4. It's a bit expensive. And again, after we mad, we're going to be down 4 credits. We still need money to psychographics out. We're making maybe 2 credits a turn. Rozeki, they're making 3 credits and 2 card draw. It's pretty good, but we definitely need to get something here because otherwise they can run R&D to bounce just to get like 2 cards off of Earthrise. It's sometimes worth it. Again, this does use power counters, so it's a legal charge target. Let's see. In terms of a burst economy, they've played 1 sure gamble, so we're waiting for 2 sure gambles, 2 dirty laundries, and 2 creatives. So they still have a lot of burst economy. 1 more into the depths is very likely as well. And like into the depths HQ might connect at some point. I don't know if it's their preferred server after we've like done daily, double daily. But like even just running server 4 now with the into the depths is pretty wild. Because they know they don't need counters for this. I wonder how much they're going to value the Spin Doctor, right? Like it's kind of always, oh, that's good. It's a bit unfortunate to like trash our Sansans. Admittedly, we sometimes want to leave one in the bin with the license, and I think we'll actually get a second Sansan on the table with the license. That's going to cost us 8 credits to score out. That's a lot of money. All right, Rozeki draw into the depths. Probably HQ. Oh, it's here. Okay, cool. So we're going to actually get some boat counters out of it. Drafter, really good. If this fires, it lets us build a remote server, which is really good because it gets a card draw because Near Earth Hub says first time a turn. So this is going to use and maybe half their boat because they want to use this, or all their boat because they want to make a successful run for sure. And they charge their Earthrise Hotel. So this is going to be all their boat. They'll get maybe 2 charges back. Almost definitely 2 charges back. So this is a pretty expensive single axis. So I don't know what their multi-axis is, whether they're on Stargate, which with the spin doctor in the table doesn't look pretty good. But yeah, you have to break this. And now this doesn't fire unless you go all the way through. So that's going to be, you know, 2 more boat counters and 2 more credits. So it is a pretty expensive single axis. Admittedly, we're going to spend 8. I don't know. Maybe we do the Sansa and we just get back on top of it a Regolith because we need money. We might not need to get a second Sansa on the table. Continuing counter. This is 2 boot counters and 2 credits. At that point, again, Bolognas are safe. We know 1 Bologna on the bottom, 1 Beale on the bottom. But here they'll get 4 credits. Maybe just get another Rozeki. They're charging their endurance first. You can trigger the order here. And now you can only charge a card that has power counters on it. So you want to do the endurance first and then use it into the depths to put the power counters on the endurance. There's a 3rd Rozeki. They got a Beale. Oh, it feels terrible. Man, triple Rozeki. It's the startup special. Could we beat 3 credits a turn forever? I don't know. Because now at this point, like it's basically one of these is 1 to trash and they can just take down our whole board. So we have a very narrow mad window here. Unlucky that they got the Beale. All right, start turn. We have nothing to res. Headline, we can give them a tag. Is that better than Lycan's acquisition for money? No, let's bottom more agendas. All right, so they can't clot us. So we'll do server 4, advance, and then we'll res the Sansan. So now this becomes 1 less to score. So this is only a 2-1 agenda. We'll score it. And then it lets us install and res a card for free. So it's either the Regolith or the Sansan. They're going to have 7 credits next turn, and we're going to have 3 credits. So we can still res the Gold Farmer. It's a bit unfortunate to put all our eggs into one basket. If we build a new remote server, we'd draw a card here. But next turn, we can either, like, this is awkward too, because while this asset's on top of the upgrade, we can't, like, just jam the Beale. I'm going to go out of my way to try mutually assured destruction, whether it's the winning play or not. They have 7 credits, though, and more cards. At least we can res both of these. So we know at minimum, unless they have the 3rd pinhole threading, it's going to be 4 credits to get through this. And this is 5 and 3 to trash. Harmony AR, that's a pinhole threadings going back if I've ever seen one. So they can pick 5 different cards, up to 5, and shuffle them back into their deck. Just to get a lot. They still have a lot of card draw here with the Earthrise. I'm not a big fan of Harmony AR therapy. You know, paying this like pretty low tempo card to shuffle things back and then draw into them. For me, you know, if the game's fast, it's like really, really dead card, but it feels like we're going pretty slow. Again, it's like turn 10. We've only scored 1 point, so they attract. And they put together a Bravado, Commission, Creative Commission, Dirty Laundry into the depths, Pinhole Threading. So Pinhole Threading is the best draw. Mind you, they have a lot of free card draw here with Stone Ship. Second Psycho is like reasonable. I think we need the money from Maryland. If we Maryland, we draw 2 though. So we could always score at the Beale to go to 3 points. I wonder how Mad Greeting is. Again, we need to make them spend money. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to do our Mad unless we get a Biotic as well. All right, Maryland into remote. We'll take 3 off of this. And then the question here is, do we discard a card? We can always discard a Bologna and just keep it in archive safe. I don't think there's a lot of HQ pressure their deck is going to run, so I'm just going to play this so we don't discard it. It's like akin to clicking this. Yeah, I don't know. It's right there. I just hate discarding cards. We easily could have. Again, we're not going to play all these cards. But like, it was the same as doing this. It's not like we're up. All right, now they have the last Earthrise counter here. So they probably want to run R&D here. Otherwise, again, they probably have a second Earthrise in hand. But once Earthrise is gone, they can't charge it with Captain. So if Padma wants to go R&D, it's probably his turn. With 1 bow counter, though, again, it could be 3 bow counters. We got to watch out these Stone Ship chart rooms. Get charges. Yeah, it's hard. I think we have to go horizontal a bit more aggressively just because, I don't know. We'll see if they check this. This is going to be like a pretty big litmus test because they have the economy in theory to trash all this stuff. I don't know if they're going to check. I feel like they should be. It gets them the bow counter anyways. I don't know if they really need to deny us 1 credit from tiered sub. But again, if we draw now a mutually assured destruction, we're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 resed cards. So we can give them 13 tags. The most they can clear is 4 a turn. So I think we could consider it. Do we wipe our whole board? Maybe. If anything, we'd probably want to double ice HQ. Just so we have something on HQ because they can just flush out HQ and win. The cool thing about Beale is if you over advance, it's worth more points. So say that we give them 14 tags or whatever it is. Bravado? R&D it must be, right? Yeah. So they're gonna have to use their stone chips on this. They can charge their stone chip. Yeah, they're gonna charge their Earthrise. So now they're gonna actually crack the stone chips, which I think we're much happier seeing them fire these for charges than anything else. So they haven't shown any breakers yet. We haven't seen any breakers yet. But this is two very meaningful subroutines. It gives us a card draw on our turn if we build a new remote server with the near hub ability, and that gives daily business show. So again, a lot of value. We're at the point where like our deck is, you know, looping through. So we're going to be drawing a mid full of agendas, I think, relatively soon. We're not like deck tracking that well. And in theory, with daily business show, you have some immense amount of power if you like deck track perfectly. All right. So I reckon here they're just going to bounce. So this was a 4-credit card. They spent 2 card draw on it. Maybe they're going to continue pay 6. Again, in terms of the agendas they can steal, there's one below near the middle, one here. So it looks like they might pay 6 now. So that was interesting. They have a lot of money. Like they should be trashing our board. Our daily business shows at a minimum, I reckon. Maybe they'll run server 4 here. But again, there's endurance. At this point, they probably just want to play a second endurance. They can afford it. They just trashed the first one. They did throw at 1. But I think they're probably on 3. If we don't top deck a Mad here, I think like we might actually consider just scoring out. Oh, you can have the money. Card draw. No. Card draw is breakers. Card draw is another endurance. Credits. You already have 3 credits a turn. You have infinite credits. You can have more of those. That's a cool one inclusion. There's their killer. So it's still pretty rough. It's still expensive to do the drafter. We'll res a Maryland for sure. Ah, we don't have it yet. Feels bad, man. Okay, so this is 1 strength for each installed icebreaker. So it's 1 strength. So they have to boost. This is, yeah, expensive. If they install more icebreakers, they can get through R&D really cheaply. But that's anywhere if we lose. Now we can score at the Beale. At that point, like the whole plan is about the last Beale. I do think we probably score at the Beale here. If we draw into the last 3-1, we're in a good spot. I think we're going to ice up Centrals. I don't like icing this up. Because now a 50-50 on agendas in hand. That's not good. We can get another spin doctor on the table instead of clicking for 3. But again, after we mad, we're going to have only 8 credits. And at that point, I guess it'll be a bit more here. But they need a run if they want to get their boat. Again, they have now just ridiculous shaper economy. Rizeki Earthrise, Rizeki Gamble. I don't know if they need more money than this. I'm so surprised that they're not trashing our board. I think they definitely need to. But it looks like here they want to draw either a Stargate or more breakers. Because they have endurance has been ground down. So next turn we don't draw a Mad, we will score at the Beale if they don't throw in Clot. Okay, first daily business show going down for sure. Oh, not even. Oh, they have 27 credits. I think this card definitely need a trash. Let alone for us, just res cards is very valuable. Not that they know it. They're going to discard 2 cards here. We got our tiered. They got their 1 bow counter. They have access to 2 now. They threw it in endurance. That's the last endurance. It's actually worth reinstalling this. And a leech. Cool value. Ah, Biotic and Mad. Hate to see it. Oh, wow. Hate to see it. I'm keeping the Mad for sure. Okay. So we could give them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tags. Maybe we'll do 12 tags so we keep our Enigma. But if we give them 12 tags, the most they can clear a turn is 4. So then next turn they'll have 8 tags, which means we can do install advanced Beale, which will be a 9 advanced Beale. How much is a 9 advanced Beale worth in terms of points? This math always gets me. 5 is 3, 7 is 4, 9 is 5. So we wouldn't win, but it'd be close. I think we just Santan out the Beale. Now, if they don't clear the tags, then we have something going. We'll score at something with Psycho. So we'll just score this one out. Oh, it's almost at the point it would be worth considering. Probably should be. We have enough res stuff that we should just... I think we're going to Mad next turn just about no matter what. Rizek to gain 3, Earthrise to gain 2. They probably want to run R&D here. Oh, no. Sorry, Earthrise is gone. So not more than any other turn. Probably just trying into breakers. They might not have self-modifying code. They still have 2 MU, but Into the Depths sometimes takes that slot in these Shaper decks, where that's the way that they can tutor for their breakers. Still drawing. Again, Stargate doesn't work on this board state. If we draw a license acquisition, we are basically good to go. Because we can score that out. Maybe just something to threaten a clot. Oh, there's a pinhole. Now the Sand's going down. That's fine. It was just drawing for that, I reckon. That was 1 in like 25 at the time they shuffled. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Credit commission. I do think we're just going to mad this board. Especially if we draw another Beale. Because they're not well set up. Also, F2P comes actually annoying. I think we bury the Bologna. We have another Psycho coming up. Again, my deck tracking hasn't been phenomenal. Okay, so we can always install this to draw a card. Oh no, this is our whole turn. So do we mad on this board? I think I'm going to mutually share destruction on this board. I don't know if it's the right play. I'd love to be able to have the psychographics with something, because at this point, if we trash our daily business shows, we're just top decking. And that seems pretty rough. Can we push in this remote server? They need to get through Gold Farmer twice. They're going to have, like, as soon as they install the breaker, they definitely have the money to do it. Yellow. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's just go whole. All right, shuffle Maryland back. They have 11 tags. Mutually assured destruction. I've never actually seen it played honestly like this. So now they have 11 tags, and we have Psycho in hand with Bologna. Now that won't be enough to win. Ideally, if we were on 4 points, that would be like a really good play. But I just want to do it to see what it looks like. They also might not clear the tags here. And if they don't clear the tags here, if we, again, we'd have to naturally top deck the last Beale, which is super unlikely. But if that's the case, we can win. We can also install Spin Doctor to draw a card, res the Spin Doctor to draw 2 cards, and then install Psychographics. So we actually have like a bunch of mad drawing to be able to get into the Beale. And I think we bottomed a Beale sometime after we bottomed the Bologna. So it might be coming up relatively soon, but that doesn't matter because we just shuffled with Maryland campaign. So the order of R&D is totally unknown. So all the agendas we think are at the bottom are no longer the case. Stone Ship to draw 2. 11 tags. Another Stone Ship. I don't know what they're drawing into. Again, a single ice on it is just a Tython R&D. Like, it's not very meaningful, but they don't know that. Draw 2. I don't know if they're clearing the tags here. Again, not a lot of big tag punishment, and being on 11 or being on 7 doesn't really change much when they know we have Psycho in hand. Bravado. R&D, get a charge. We'll res a Tithe, just annoying enough. 1 net damage, 1 credit. They can break that for sure. Again, they break it for 2. Is resing that wrong? No, probably not. We can't let them get into R&D and over and again. Especially with a lot of assets, they can just trash cards and see more cards. Unseen, not the Beale. Please not Beale. Yeah, there you go. Maryland down. They gain 7, so they can keep going back. And again, we have like 3 good draws at the, what's it called? Simulchip? Oh, wait, do they have access to Clot? Funny enough, if they have access to Clot, because the Simulchip can pull something, they'd have to do it immediately. It's hard to Clot Psychographics. So the idea is with the Simulchip, they can install like a self-modifying code from their bin. No, so Simulchip gets them nothing. So if we top deck the Beale, we win. If we top deck the Beale, we win. Oh, we did. Did we do it? I think we did it. Okay, just checking. Do they have any? I can't believe that worked. Do we have any access to Clot? No, they have. The only thing they can recur is Leech. So we do server 4, Psychographics for 13. 11. Sorry, they only have 11 tags, of course. 13 is like a 7-point agenda. 9 points. We did it. It worked. I can't believe that worked. Good game. Whoa, that was so cool. If we had they had 2 more tags, they actually can win in a single agenda. 113 credits to 56. So they didn't, if they trash our stuff down, like it totally changes the value of these plays. I think the Daily Biz Snow is so important to trash because it stops us from drawing into our combo pieces. Thanks for the game. Yeah, and they had the infinite money for sure. I think they could have definitely afforded to do that. Or our opponent said that they had a deep dive. They could have played that turn, and that would have stolen our Beale, very likely. If they took that one instead of like a 3-pointer, and that would maybe have been it. Yeah, they would have been able to deep dive. That's pretty wild. I totally forgot that was their win condition instead of like Stargate. But hey, that's what the idea of the deck works, and it seems okay. We didn't like jam onto the table too aggressively, and I think we probably want to do that at the same time as having this like panic button win condition. That was really cool. Let's get another one in. All right, we're playing against Sable. This is our mutually assured destruction deck. Sable's a bit tricky. A lot of central pressure. We're not that good at icing up centrals, let alone deep dive is just kind of going to happen. Sable's quite competitive in startup. This hand's good enough. We can keep it. There's not too many reasons, as it's very different than standard where you'd want to ice HQ turn 1. I think we're going to put both ice on central servers, pad campaign and remote server. See what we draw off the pad. Because again, first server turn, we draw a thing. Yeah, Sable, gonna get a mark. We're gonna maybe see Chesvas. That stuff's pretty good at trashing all our assets off the top of the R&D. Ooh, it's ugly. Let's see what we draw here. Pop-up window. That's honestly like sort of better. We'll probably see like a bravado turn one. We can't res both of these, which is a bit of a mummer. I think weird. I think we might want the better one on HQ. Do we leave R&D open? I think here we'll just put this on R&D. Like it's good enough. If we can res this, mark as HQ. So blueberry diesel to start. This is one of the most taxing ice. I don't think there's a good way to deal with it. They lose credits when they break the subroutines off of this, and lose means they can't spend the Chesba credits if I'm not mistaken. Those only can be spent, not lost. And so we want to get, yeah, okay, well, there's a gold farmer here. They could go through this for all their money. Not really great, but they want to force us. So they could spend 6. They would get an extra credit back and a free click. So is a click worth 5 credits and an access? After a mulligan, maybe the access is pretty sweet, but that's a lot of money. And we can still res the pad campaign here. We'll see, 2 credits, you might not expect much. They're checking this, the pad campaign. With 12, you could consider bringing it down. Again, a lot of the economy of these sort of horizontal decks is tied into their assets. So like, I don't mind that at all. Maryland's a nice replacement. Uh-oh, ugly. This is bad. At least that they're less likely to trash. We'll see how much burst economy they have again. I'm not expecting Scrubber or any way to deal with assets. I don't even know if they're running Rizeki in modern like startup. I don't think they would be in modern startup Sables because the Chesva is so good and we expect twinning with that. Deep Dive is 5 influence, so a lot of times there's either 1, sometimes 2 in the deck, but it comes at real costs. That's a pop-up window. Gain a credit if they want to go through it. It's basically free because they get back their bravado credit from passing it, so the top of the deck will be seen here. That's 2 bravados down in the first 2 turns. Archives is in the mark 2. We'll see if they're also on Virtuoso, which is really ugly with a hand like this. 11 credits, they could bring down the Maryland. Probably want to. And if they take down all our economy, like we can't res ice. We're going to need ice up archive sooner than later. I think we'd be way more scared instead of Virtuoso if they were on Penny Shaver, just because credits matter. We have a lot of stuff they need to trash. Hard to jam behind an Enigma. If it's like a license acquisition, we don't mind if we lose the first one, but we're expecting boomerangs. There's the first Chesva. That deals with the pop-up, right? Yeah, actually that deals with the pop-up really well. All right, that's money at least. So we can make a new remote server. Let's commit the ice because we could get something better we like behind it. All right, I think we need a license. We need an F2P R&D. Yeah, I think we do need F2P R&D. And just gain 3, I guess. Again, our hand is mostly agendas. Eventually with the second ice here, we'll jam out a license to hopefully get a free Sansan. At this point, we can't really afford to spend 8 credits to score out an agenda. If we do get a license acquisition, we can res and install something for free. So we get like a pad campaign. Like it's not the worst. It's like pretty wild. This 3-1 agenda, a lot of times you want to get like a, Sansan res for free, but a pad campaign is like, okay. Like we'll take it on this board state. All right, R&D is the mark. So we have a good double ice there. There's a Virtuoso. So now the Archives mark actually can ruin us. Boomerang. We will res the Boomerang. So they're going to access a card from HQ after. This is the F2P. They can spend their Chesva credits on this, but they'll probably end up boomeranging it and Chesva the pop-up window. So we're going to lose an agenda here almost definitely. Pop-up. We gain 1. They lose Chesva. Because it's pay 1, not lose. So they can Chesva that. And now they get an access. And after that access, Virtuoso, because this is their mark, they can access from HQ. We're hoping they hit the Sansan. Probably saw mutually assured destruction there, let's be honest. That's the most interesting card in the list by a mile. Hit a license. Okay, that tracks. And now an Archives mark is like a huge liability. No free lunch is down. Clears the tag clicklessly. Deals with the mutually assured destruction. That's what I thought. How many tags do you want? So we don't want to give them 4 tags here. That'd be pretty bad. I do think we can just get like the Sansan down. The other option is just with 1 boomerang down, put this behind the Enigma. It's not amazing. We can draw once here to build a remote server. That's not great. If we put 2 cards down, they might think it's a defensive upgrade. But we want to keep this in hand to res it for free. So I think we'll just put this in server 3. And I don't want to play this. We could have played this for card draw, honestly. That would have been fine. We're just hoping that this sneaks through. If they face check into this, losing a click is really impactful. But an inside job or a boomerang, at least they only have 2 cards in hand. An inside job is not uncommon in the decks that are on like 2 deep dives. But this might just be like Virtuoso twinning Chesva. Mark HQ, we're happy with that. It's hard for them to get in there. That's the best mark. Again, this is random at the start of the turn. If we score this out, we get a... Ooh, looks like we're going to get it. Nice. All right. Advance, advance, advance. Score that out. Get something installed and res. We'll put it behind ice. But that is a good trade for us. And now we can get the Beale out of there. And if we can just keep cards out of our hand, we're not too worried. And they're going to have to be worried about the Mad to some extent, but we haven't really gone horizontal enough on the board. Their money is drying up. Again, Archives is the mark, so they can definitely hit, in theory, what's it called here? The Beale. If they have a Docklands Pass, I believe those work together. Twinning also kind of works, but they need a way to spend the credits. There's a DreamNet. Okay, so now the Archives is like a free card draw and a free run on HQ. So if they hit the, what's it called, the Beale here, it's a huge blowout. Now, this is different than standard with cards like hard-hitting news. They don't have to respect credit differentials, so they can run here. The only thing you'd really have to be worried about is like a DreamNet. Or not a DreamNet, excuse me. He didn't run. It's free, right? I think you definitely run there. Wild. Okay, Maryland shuffled. So I think we need to get a Tython Archives for sure. I think that should come at the cost of scoring at the Beale. New remote. Is F2B better? Net damage is actually like pretty impactful against what's it called, against a criminal. Just because if we hit a breaker, they generally don't run recursion. Now the FTP is only 2 credits to break. This is unbreakable. We could obviously score this out. I do think we just, if we predict a planogram to draw, we'll be on 7 cards. No, I'm gonna get this there. I think we just click for, we can draw once. Chance of drawing an agenda is low, right? We'll get an ice on Archives just to respect all of this. Now this empty remote server, like it's a bit obnoxious. At least now if they run it, they have to spend a click because our centrals are iced up. But I was pretty surprised they didn't run Archives there to get the Virtuoso and the DreamNet and a click back. Marks on R&D, we're pretty happy with that. Again, against just about any other, what's it called, runner, we probably don't have to ice centrals as hard, but I respect Sable. Sable's probably going to be setting up for a deep dive now. And not getting DreamNet value. Again, playing 3 credits for what's been a brick for the last 2 turns. Creeper cast, love to see it. Throwing out a card here. Here we can res the pad campaign. It is credit negative the turn. But again, we just need more res stuff. All right, where is it? Do we score out a Beale here? It costs us 2. We go down to 5. With 5, we can still res everything. Yeah, why not? It comes at the cost of like building new remotes. Let's build, yeah, okay. We'll gain 3. And then last click, it was either to double ice one of these. I'm going to double ice HQ just because at some point a boomerang gets through HQ and we haven't been filtering with Daily Business Show. So I think they want to run it. It's either the pop-up window or the F2P. I think this is just good enough. And then next turn we'll hopefully push. Again, they might be able to trash this turn, but they need a boomerang and then they still need the credits from this to 5 to deal with this. R&D is a mark. Yeah, this is the problem where like if Sable does not keep up, it's very easy to go hard aggression. Oh, let's hit something good here. Let's hit a breaker, please. Oh, they did throw out an Abigail. Well, second chance, but that's good. That's a lot of money potentially. But yeah, if Sable doesn't keep up on the board and like finds herself in a spot where she can't get access to centrals, like this whole package falls apart. And I've seen that actually more often than not when playing Sable. It's like you can get some early aggression, but if you're not scaling well into late game and if you don't have enough economy that's not run based, like, you know, double ice on all servers can be a nightmare. Now, this is the weakest server by a mile. If they get down the big altar, they actually make money off of this. So we're going to have to double ice it sooner than later. Oh, it was in hand maybe. All right, we're going to double ice it. Okay, now we have control. It's either, yeah, we'll get that on the remote server in a new remote server and we'll F2P Archives. Again, we just don't want to have any naked servers. Oh, hate to see that. Okay, so now we need to survive for a turn. Because if we score that out, then they have a tag to deal with. But again, the more stuff we have res, the faster we are to psychographics. But our hand is only agendas. There's been so many turns we haven't scored out. Man, we probably should just be like jamming out the Sansan. I feel like that has a bigger impact on the game of how they play. Archives is the mark too, so hate it. So this is actually pretty expensive. It's 6 credits, boomerang on that. Okay, so hopefully they hit the Bologna and don't have credits to steal it. Whereas the F2P, oh, now they definitely can't steal the Bologna. They'd have to crack the no free lunch, but they know we're playing against this. We want them to steal, not the Beale. So half of the hand is good, 50-50. So here's an F2P. They're not tagged. Again, we have a lot of res cards, so this is working out. All right. This thing, they actually make money off of it, which you hate to see it. Because they break it for 2, gain 2. So they're just short of the Bologna. Virtuoso, breach HQ, DreamNet, draw a card. Beale, woof, not good. Shuffle that back. So this is why we need to just keep cards at our hand. Pretty fair. There's the twinning. Okay, so now centrals are going to be really pressured. At least we can start bottoming things we don't want. I think at this point we just score at the tomorrow's headline. It costs us 2 credits. but I'm just scared. And here they have a tag to either like clear with the no free lunch. I think they need to deal with the daily business show. Let's see how they make their economy though. We can res everything again. We can res every single piece of ice. We have the regolith to recover next turn as long as we start with 2 credits. We'll start with a minimum 1. They don't trash that. But now they want to run once per turn to boost the Chesva. And these are good. A class act good draw. Okay. All right. It's an Enigma, which is ice. They don't have a breaker for, or another Maryland. I feel like we kind of want to just get the Maryland down, right? Like this is a bit risky because we're drawing cards and we don't want to be drawing cards all the time. I'm just going to res this and take 6 off of it. Again, we need the money. It's not iced. In terms of res cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we can easily res this. We can give them 10 tags. Now we don't have the psychographics. They have a lot of money. They probably need to deal with the regolith. But we can give them 10 tags. They can clear 5. Second Chesva, the final Chesva, we did trash one. They might be on a Harmony AR, but again, if they're on deep dive, it's hard. But breakers is what's important here. Dirty laundry for the regolith. Oh, Archives is the mark. Okay, Bologna is the one thing they can steal here. This is a bit expensive, but not unreasonable. If they hit the Bologna, we're in a really bad spot. And they can see 2 cards. Fire all, so they break this for, oh wow, yeah. This is still rough because they can pay 4 for this with the Chesvas, and then they can break this and actually technically do it for free. So this is a free server. And they're going to get the twinning, so they can see 2 from HQ. So they're much better at running central servers. Getting the Bologna in server 3 just behind like a double ice is probably our best play. Because we've seen all 3 of the bravados. So burst economy is maybe an overclock, maybe. But yeah, we need a 3rd ice on Archives. All right, FTP. Breaking one of them. Breaking the second one. Using the 4 credits. I wonder if we play Funhouse. It's like taxing enough. And this, they get their money back. So here we'll see they hit Archives, draw a card, and then they can access 2 from HQ if they want to. They have the Bologna credits. They steal the Bologna, we're in a really bad spot. All right, so now they access HQ, or they breach HQ. So they can choose to use the twinning counter if I'm not mistaken. Mad, they knew that. Bologna, oh no, come on. Woof. All right, so we have 1 more Beale. 2 more Beals, sorry, 1 more license, 2 Bolognas, and we're not going to draw them. We're going to be bottoming them if they don't deal with this. They didn't deal with the regolith either. Again, we can give them an absurd amount of tags. The issue though is like if we empty our central servers of ice, at that point they can just like deep dive us potentially. So it's like a bit risky. With the pop-up window, it's not going to stop a deep dive. 9 credits. Pre-installing on the pop-up window, that gives us a turn to like deal with it. I never loved that play, but sometimes you have to do that. It means that I probably want to deep dive. I think they're set up to deep dive here because they know they can get through everything. Can we stop the deep dive? Gold Farmer does hurt. I think that we're going to bottom the Beale and just like stop the deep dive. Do we trash the pop-up window to eat the boomerang? I don't think we do because it's like just a cheap enough res. And with a cheap enough res, we're in a good spot. If we install here, we can draw into an agenda. We wouldn't want that. At least we can get rid of it. Okay. I don't know if they have the money to deep dive, honestly. Do we trash this? I don't think we trash this. I just want another ice to res. So we'll put this on HQ. I'm so surprised they put this on HQ. Like, why? This server they can run for 1 credit. This they can run front. Yeah, I don't know. I think we have to ice up everything a bit better. Let's just start here. We could lose to a mark on R&D pretty easily. Well, not a mark on ID. If they just run R&D, we're in a bad spot. And we can always draw on their turn again to draw 3 bottom 1, which helps. We don't have our psychographics yet, let alone an agenda. In terms of the 3 2s, there's only 2 more in the list. And we just bottomed 1, so there's only 1 more in like 23 cards. Yeah, if we shuffle with Maryland, it does change the ordering, of course. Marks on HQ, that's our best mark because we have nothing in hand. So if they run HQ, they can see all of it. Now the issue is like they want to run every turn to see the twinning. So they can just run into FTP to charge the twinning. Not the best play. At that point, you might as well pay a credit to like see a card on R&D and like charge the twinning. Because if they can lock R&D, we lose. And we haven't pushed into remote servers soon enough. I think at this point, they want to like boomerang and deal with this. Like they need a code breaker, decoder. I think we need to push an issue in the remote server. Even like getting the Maryland in server 3 might actually force them to do something. I think on our turn, there's a chance we don't want to go to no cards in hand. Oh, they have no credits. Whoa, do we just mad them? Do we spin doctor on our turn? So that means that they'll have 2 cards, 2 credits, and a tag they can clear clicklessly. If we give them a tag, the FTPs are good. I think we'll res on our turns for psychographics. The psychographics or a Beale. Oh no, we can keep 2 of them. They steal that, they win. The more expensive one, I guess. So here we could just mad and give them like an absurd amount of tags. How many tags do we need to win? We need to get this to 4 points, which is 7 tags. I think we're going to go for it. I think we're just going to wipe this though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The most they can clear is 7. We need money too though, because we're going to be on 13 minus 4. We're going to be on 9. That's enough. Oh, I didn't do the math well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Thinking. They need to run HQ, so we're going to keep the gold farmer. We can get rid of this. This doesn't do anything. This doesn't do anything. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. That means they can only clear 4. Very likely they can clear. So they're start on 2 credits. They can do, and 2 more cards. They could do like Dirty Laundry, which they've played 1 of them, 2 of them. So they could do Dirty Laundry. They'd be on 5. They can do credit, clear, clear, clear. So they can clear 3, I think, worst case. Hope for the best. We just shuffled as well. We might not have wanted to shuffle with Maryland because we did know one below. I think we did know one Beale was at the bottom. So that actually shuffle might have been a mistake. They have 1 turn to either clear enough tags because we can score out with this. Again, if we res some of this ice, we might not have the money to do it. But you love to see the play. You'll love to see it. 10 tags. Again, they have Earthrise, they have Daily Business Show, and they can clear tag clicklessly. That means no free lunch, actually, they can install from hand and clear tag. So it's still the same amount of clicks, but it means on lower credits they can interact with tags more positively. So let's see again. HQ is the mark. Oh, that's the best mark by a mile because they could have ran R&D and like Virtuoso to Scene HQ. So HQ being the mark is the best part here. Gold Farmer, they'd have to deal with it. Pop-up window is an easy res, and we get a credit off of it. So it changes the math. So that means it's 2 credits to res everything would be on 7. Woo! This is going to be close. Again, R&D might not hold out. They don't have Bologna money, and there's still 2 Bolognas in there. But again, there's also a Beale and oh, it's actually not that many. It's like 1 Beale and 1 license acquisition. Oh, is that it? Well, obviously the Bolognas, but they can't interact with them if they're going to clear the tags. So they could actually just go to 5 and start smashing R&D. Yeah, they can use the Chesvas to trash things or just to steal the Bologna anyway. So we could just lose here. DreamNet draws a card. Good start. Now, if they trash cards, they won't have the Bologna credits, but if they see a Bologna here, they're going to win anyways. Oh, this is going to be close. You're thinking. Trash the tiered subscription. So now they're on 2 and 3. They also can see 2 of the twinning. Again, it's all about the Bolognas here. The 1 Beale. Please not Beale. They're seeing 3 nothing. Okay, I think we survive. They have 10 tags. Again, they can clear 2 of them. Or yeah. They just saw 3 of the twinning and don't have it. So we can install. And I think if we did our math right, we only need 7. Hope I did my math right. These are exciting. This is a fun archetype. All right, that's a new boomerang. Now that means we have to start resing. Credit, that's it. Last click discard, I think that's it. If we're not mistaken, biotic on the top. We're gonna do server 3. We can do 10 tags. It doesn't really change anything. I just hope we did our math right. You need an odd number for it to matter. I'm just gonna dump all the credits. Got there, good game. That's always exciting. See if the R&D holds on. Yeah, R&D actually I think was actually pretty secure. We definitely shouldn't shuffle the Maryland because there was a Beale at the bottom. But with the Bolognas, that's the only thing they can hit. And as soon as they start trashing things, it gets a bit tight. I wonder if they had the deep dive. I wonder if they did. Again, you saw the pre-install of the boomerang. Like it gives us the ability to play around it, so it's a bit tricky. Oh, they missed. They wanted a boomerang R&D. Yeah, they definitely could have undone that click. It like didn't make that much sense to put on HQ because they had to pressure someone else. Nice. Because they had the deep dive in hand. And this server is actually kind of hard to deep dive because it's double gold farmer. And so that's going to cost them real money. And they ended their turn on like no credits. So we had a window there. They knew we had Matt. It's just kind of hard to play around. Like eventually we'll have enough stuff to trash. So we'll get there. Yeah, the deep dive is the one thing we're scared of. At least at that point, like the Bolognas they can't really interact with. So they have to hit the last license acquisition and the last Beale, which could have been on the bottom if we were smart. Yeah, for sure. Good game. All right, we're playing Start It. This is our mad deck. Oh, terrible hand. 3 agendas, no assets. We're playing against Tau. That's actually pretty reasonable because we do make some big decisions on where our ice goes. We don't have that much end the run ice, which we're going to need to protect, you know, an early cheeky jam or what's it called? A Sand City Grid. We're going to mulligan this for sure. I'm not actually sure what DAO does in terms of like what the competitive startup DAO lists look like. It's a much better hand. Again, we're near a hub, 17 influence, which goes well hard. It goes far when we're playing like 4 influence cards, if I'm not mistaken. We can start zoomed in, but you know we're not going to end zoomed in if things go our way. All right, let's go. There's our Mad. Again, the Eric Keelback special. If we want to get a lot of things res and things res, we can have centrals to ice up. Pop-up window is a bit of a liability, right? Like you don't want to res or install really cheap ice. We do want to ice up everything. I don't know if we have to ice up HQ that much. This is not something we need to protect. So I think we can just like put a pop-up on R&D so we don't lose to Conduit. Conduit's the one thing I'm scared of. Not that this stops Conduit really well. So I guess we'll do this on R&D. And then credit feels pretty bad. But yeah, we might be a bit precious with their pop-up windows because if they put those on R&D, they can just like start conduiting, worst comes to worst, because that's what DAO does. When agenda scored or stolen, you can swap 2 positions of ice. 10 credits, good economy start, double gamble into casts. Pad is rezzed. Again, they can take these down. Daily business show, we need to get one of those on the table. We can pop up window one of these. Again, we just want to get our stuff rezzed. We just need stuff rezzed. I don't like this start. This might look like an agenda that they could like aggressively endurance or something like that. I don't know if DAO has to play. Okay, we're getting this rezzed, which is good because we have rezzed cards. It's bad because now DAO has a really cheap, unfortunate ice that they can reposition optimally. It's a daily business show though, but that's why we iced it so they would consider running it. Taking it down for 4, something they probably want to do, especially now they've committed to the run. Let's see if Pajamas, they just take down everything. Cool. That's good. Again, our value is based off of assets. Rizeki is, again, a credit a turn, which is not great for what we're trying to do. We could just go ahead and Beale this out, or biotic the Beale out, excuse me. Gold farmer, again, this is going to move to where we don't want it to be. I don't want to score the Beale here. Like, it's super unfortunate. I think we can just put the Bologna on the table and slow roll it. Double advance next turn. There's the optimizer, so a lot of stuff to install again. The Rizekis. There's a Dawkins Pass, so we can run HQ here, get a swap. You want to put some HQ pressure because a lot of times against DAO decks, people don't want to ice HQ because they know their best ice will end up on HQ, which is not something you want. We can install the Regolith. If we double advance here, like that's the issue, right? Is that in theory, they can always move over a pop-up window into scoring remote. Luckily, we have Gold Farmer into pop-up, which we can res. So hopefully they don't have it to Beale Hill. Dawkins Pass to C2, FTP, and a Mad. All right, cast out of the bag. They'll probably hit HQ once a turn anyways. And while we don't have filtering for daily business show, this deck also draws a lot because we make new remote servers, which means HQ pressure is pretty legitimate. We got to discard a card here. I wonder if Biotic's actually worth it in the deck. We can triple advance here. Again, that puts us on the table. We need to go a bit fast against Rizeki. And so we can discard a card here. We have the Regolith to recover. Our economy is pretty good. So they moved the pop-up to R&D, so now it doesn't change that much. Tiered subscription. It's a cheap res for Mad. And we have Psycho Beale, but I don't think we're going to be able to hold on to it. I think we get rid of the Biotic here. It's either that or the tiered, but I like the tiered, especially with the Mad in hand. And they'll probably run HQ here, C2. There's a Talud. Whoa. DreamNet? Psycho? Tiered. Trashing the tiered. Interesting. All right. So we can get this on HQ. Again, it's 4 credits for them to break. They might face check into ice. I think Drafter is like the worst case scenario. So we'll get that on HQ. I don't want to install this because it lowers the cards in hand. So I'm just going to res this and fire it. They might have to take this down. If they don't take it down, again, it's another res card. And we just need more res cards. So we want to put like maybe the Beale behind here. Maybe we actually should have kept the Biotic because if we Biotic this Beale out, we're on game point. I think it was probably wrong. Maybe Psycho Mad when we have this like aggressive of start is okay. Aggressive is not the right term exactly, but like, wow, whoa, so cool. SNC means clot. We have to respect. All right. So we can give them 2 tags. Not great enough. New remote. We have another Bologna. I think we push that into server 3. This same play that we did last turn. And probably just click for a credit. Again, I don't want to empty our hand. Yeah, the Biotic is looking really good if we score this out. Again, they don't have a lot of burst economy. They played 2 sure gambles so far. We haven't seen a creative yet. Oh, 3 gambles. So like to deal with Gold Farm and pop-up, they largely need oh, nice. They largely need an overclock, which they usually have with SMC. They're just getting the leech up. I wonder if they're on Chisel. What are the leech counters for? I guess with Penny Shavers, like clicking for credit plus. This is also awkward too. If we mad them, you know, it takes a turn to get that money off. All right, I do think we planogram for 3. to get a third ice here, and then we double advance. Oh, actually, then we can't double advance. So they technically have 7 credits. This is not that expensive to deal with. I think if they steal the Bologna, we're okay, because they probably don't have a lot of money. So I think we do advance. The question is what we do at our last click. I do think we put this on server 2. Just to have more res stuff. Or stuff we can res. But they could probably run this if they tried. Resing our archives helps against the leech. We're resing the Tithe. This will hit. Again, more res cards. We're happy with that. They're checking what this is. We just wanted them to being forced to run into stuff. Ooh, a Hushik from hand. Love to see it. Oh, we should have saw that coming. 2/2/2/2. So they're setting up Hushiks on R&D. We can't interact with that. But now it's another res card. They definitely don't trash this. They do get a Penny Shaper though. May not definitely, but probably not. Wow, I'm surprised they trashed that. Because we're going to be on game point. Man, I missed that. Remember when we had the Biotic a minute ago? Advance. We're on game point. They can reposition the ice. So they can take the pop-up window and set up a Hushik. If they want to move one of these unknowns. Again, F2P and Gold Farm are pretty good. And again, Biotic. Oh, we could have had it. I didn't think we'd be able to jam that out. All right. Soft Centrals. Again, they can just run through this. The net damage doesn't really matter. Like, you have to start taking risks, and this is technically a free access. It hits a deep dive, potentially. Chameleon. Whoa, cool. So, Code Gate. And we're Hushiking just to get another 2-coster down. So this they break for 1. They're Hushiking with 1 credit short of a Bologna. I think that's a big mistake. Now, there's only 1 Bologna left in the deck, but here they're going to see a 6 off the top. Sansan license acquisition, so they can get a license acquisition. That's a 1-pointer. That means they can move around the cards. This shuffles, so like knowing the next 5 cards doesn't really matter. How many cards was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so they're desperate times for sure. Biotic here would have done it. Bologna off the top. I think we just jammed the 3rd Bologna. If we mad, we can give them 4 tags. Do we just mad? I think we just mad. Mad because bad. If we mad, can we lose? No, with just the Tithe, I don't think we mad. I think we do server 3 advance. So this is just like a really boring game of how quickly can they contest the remote server and steal 3 Bolognas, which is kind of difficult. But they have a chance of doing this. If we lose this, then like we're kind of scary. We won't be exactly on game point because this will be our last 3-pointer. But from that point, we consider matting. I think we knew a Spin Doctor to shuffle the Biotic back in. Biotic would have done it. It feels bad. All right, they're running. Gold Farmer. Good start. They can't get through this. And if they need to get through this, again, it's either 6 credits or a Chameleon and then more credits, which means they can't steal the Bologna. But this could be a Beale. And the pop-up window does just protect the Bologna. It helps protect the Bologna at least. Proco. Oh, that's too slow, unfortunately. And that's just going to be it. 3 Bolognas. Dang. Good agenda in startup or standard. I feel like we might have been able to do something a bit more aggressive. Good game. I really like their deck. Thanks to the game. The Penny Shaper is really cool. Again, if you can make some cheap servers, you can run. It doesn't cost 2, does it? No, it costs 3. But Hushik is scary. There's actually like enough cool ways to get that pressure off Essentials. Like to figure out whether they're on Conduit, Deep Dive, or Hushik. I think as soon as you see like the weird 2-costers like Talut, a Docklands Pass I don't think is unreasonable. Like you could assume the Hushik, and we can't really interact with that. But yeah, okay, that does it. Could we have matted there? Probably not. If they didn't trash our stuff, yeah. But they've been actually pretty good at keeping our stuff down. It comes at a cost though, which is, you know, Bologna credits. Let's do another one. All right, startup, Sable. Opening hand, daily business show. It's nice to stick one of those early. Again, we have that immense pressure sometimes from Sable. And F2P doesn't work that well against Cheswa decks. This hand's like not the worst. I want to see if they're on Virtuoso or not. Virtuoso like has a huge opportunity cost at the console slot, but you saw like it does put on pressure for sure. I do think here we can just Ice HQ, daily business show, get a Regolith for money. We can keep this. We can do worse. License acquisition. I don't know. It's fine. It's hard to sneak out singles, but a lot of times the Sable decks are a bit more like focused on centrals and at the expense of sometimes like pressuring their remote servers. They kept their hand too scary. All right, so we're gonna just hope that, what do we want to get on the table first? A pad campaign, I reckon. Actually, the daily business show. We'll put on 5. We can probably do all 3 because we can recover easily with planogram. So let's see if they don't check these. I wonder if it's ever right to Biotic out a license to get like a, maybe actually to recur a Sansan. We'll just ice up HQ. Most of the agendas are in R&D. They don't really know that. It's not like standard where you ice up to HQ. Oh, R&D is the mark. Hate to see it. Again, you're just rolling the dice there. If they hit archives, it's not too bad. But ideally, unfortunately, we can't res. If we res this, we can't res anything else. But we're going to try and res both and then recover with planogram. We want to get a lot of our stuff res too. So a lot of times we just want to put stuff behind ice and force reses. There's a Mystic, so a lot of events. 2 Influence, not a bad card at all. free run on R&D. They installed this first, so they can't actually steal Bologna. A lot of times against NBN, you want to act with 5 credits because Bologna is a 5 credit steal. Not that they can't click for a credit and run back, but it's a bit ugly. Now you do want your Miami down first if you steal another agenda because it does charge. So, you know, it's a bit of A, a bit of B. Gonna res both, go down to 2 credits. Okay, we don't want to draw that. This is something we definitely want to get on R&D. They don't have a strong economy, so I don't think they're going to contest these. I think we can build a new remote server, ice up R&D, and then play your planogram to get some money. All right, so now we can res again one of these ice, and we'll see where the mark is largely. We have 2 agendas in HQ, so if it's R&D, we probably want res, but HQ mark makes it a lot easier. With 4 credits, they can go through the F2P. 4 credits is not bad, especially with Chesvas. It gets a lot easier. You generally don't want to break this. You just pay through it. There's a single Chesva. That hurts on R&D as well. It gives you money to trash our assets, and the deck has a lot of assets, so you can go back and see more cards. Now, if they make one good run on HQ here, we can res. Okay, so now we can res a Regolith. We're getting filtered card draw. We're in a good spot. Do we want a pop-up window, which is reasonable ice, not amazing against Chesva, or do we want to get another thing in the remote server? We're a mad deck. Let's just do another remote server. We're probably going to have to score these out sooner than later. We'll res this. This should draw some of their attention. Again, there might be on a deep dive deck. I think it's pretty likely. So we do have to make sure that we're icing up centrals a bit harder. R&D is the mark. We can res both. This is a good card. Again, they lose credits when they break these. So you can't use the Chesva to lose credits. Now they use the Chesva to break the subroutines. They want to pay 6. Inside job. Ooh, it might be deep dive as soon as turn 1. Do we res the gold farmer here? I don't think we have a reason to. I wonder if this is a deep dive turn or this is just because they have mystic credits. Why not? Sable gets a click back as well. But this is the card we're more scared about the remote server. HQ is where we're also scared of running. So click back, class act, probably just sitting back. 2 pad campaigns going to be rolling. They're giving us all the money in the world. We just don't have the most expensive ice. So it's not that we can use it that well. Like we're not running like a toll booth. Our highest end is at the F2P if I'm not mistaken. But I think our most taxing is the gold farmer. Maybe we can take out the biotic. I don't know. There's games where the biotic has been good, but we can use that influence on other little stuff. I think the deck that was at Startup World Championship was on Engram Flush, which is just, you know, an overperformant ice for 1 influence. We want the Spin Doctor for sure. We just want to get all these agendas out of our hand, get more ice. All these agendas out of our hand. I do think we can put a license on the table. It just doesn't hit at any targets. Okay, we can do license Enigma. It might eat a boomerang or an inside job. We've seen 1 inside job so far. I'm scared if they're inside jobbing centrals. I think we're going to push it, but if they're in on inside job, we could wait a turn and do pop-up on top of it. I'm just going to put this on archives, and then we'll do maybe another ice. But like holding 5 agendas, it's a bit of a look. Not great. And it's like turn 4. We've drawn a lot with Near Earth Hub. A lot of it's been filtered though, so ooh, wow, 11 credits. Cast into Gamble. Mystic. Been good value so far, credit a turn. You can play Rezeki in this format, but the MU slots generally go to the Chesva. Sorry we had to be this zoomed out, but it's kind of how it goes. There's a button here that you can use to stack servers. So like these 2 would show up on top of each other. A lot of times I would do that if I'm just playing on my own, but I think this is maybe a bit more viewable. It shows the history of the game also a bit better. Let me know if you don't think that's right. HQ, Dawkins Pass. More pressure here if they run HQ, but the F2P is going to be only 2 credits to break. This is actually pretty bad. They can walk away here with 4 points. We need to get these agendas out of hand. We probably should just fix Spin Doctor because we're expecting Dawkins Pass. The only thing that they're scared to run into is like a drafter can be pretty bad. Engram Flush can be an issue because there's not a lot of recursion criminals. We'll see if they run last click again. We need to get these out of hand. Sure gamble. Okay, they're not running. So Dawkins didn't get any value this turn. The business show, we'll take the Enigma for sure. We need a second ice on HQ, especially something that like hard ends a run. If we biotic out this, like don't want to do that until there's like a Sansan. Do we build a new remote server? They haven't been checking them. I'm going to build a new remote server. Obviously we could ice this, but I want the card draw a bit. Then we'll go HQ, new remote as well. They could check one of these. This doesn't really do much. We actually could choose not to score it. But again, a lot of times the Sable decks are like really focused in on central servers. So sometimes they ignore this. Like they haven't been running any of these things. They're assuming Maryland's, another pad campaign, more daily vision shows. 11 credits though. Our economy is not amazing. Oh, but we can click the regolith. Of course, our economy is actually better than it looks. I forgot we had this. I've been so worried about filtering HQ more so than getting money. HQ still the mark. Pretty good. Mutual favor. Going to get a breaker here. Let's see what it is. Maybe it's just, they haven't seen any of our ice, I don't think. Could be like a Cat's Cradle. Cleavers usually. Oh, it's a Corroder instead. I'm actually not sure where I sit on standard of Corroder versus Cleaver. I like Cleaver, I think, a fair bit more. So now they can deal with the gold farmers. It costs them 2 to break. They lose 2, but at least half of those can be Cheswas, so it's not that bad. And we need a top deck something expensive like a Sansan. Just so that if we score the license acquisition, we can get something here. Let's see what last click. Again, there's an agenda on the table. This is what you can do in your hub. They might check here. I don't know what else they're doing. It's really awkward to have an agenda on the table and they stall on their last click. Dirty laundry. Oh, please. Oh, okay. They're bringing down money. I was worried there's, at least here now we have a target with the license acquisition. Okay, cool. 14 credits. Good money. And they're probably like just slowly setting up. Let's get a, you hate to see it. So I guess we get this. New remote draws a card so we can actually discard. There's 3 Beals in a row. What is this? What is this? 3 Beals in a row on R&D there, if I'm not mistaken. It's a bit frustrating when that comes back. Yeah, we're making 2 credits a turn. We get filter draw. We don't mind throwing out an agenda because we have a spin doctor there for sure. We probably want to spend a turn drawing more and throwing out more stuff. In terms of ice in the deck, we have what, 13? We've seen 5. So still a big chance of drawing an ice here, which we like. Again, central server pressure is real. It looks like our opponent's a bit like apprehensive of running. I think Drafter is like the big blowout. It allows us to install a new remote server a lot of times, which draws like 2 cards or draws a card and filter draw off daily business show. So you look at 2. Like that's really good. We only have 1 though, because the influence. With the biotic in hand, I think if we get our money up, we don't mind bioticing out the Beale. All right, we're gonna go. Bravado. Bravado server 6 is a bit of a liability. Okay, it's just a pop-up window here. Mark his archives too. This is just a card we're pretty happy to res because again, we're a mutually assured destruction deck, and this is gonna make us pop our spin doctor, which is unfortunate because we want to fix the rest of our hand. Fire Unbroken, we gain a credit. Again, the Bravado pays for the credit for this. And we're gonna go ahead and bring back, I guess, our 2 cards. Sometimes you do want to keep cards in there, specifically like assets and sometimes ice because license acquisition gets access to them. We can't really do anything with a predictive planogram in there for sure. Another breaker coming down. Let's see if it's a Cradle or the Begalter. It's the Begalter. So now they can deal with sentries. So this is like the inevitability where I think they just want to force us to go fast because they can just sit down all their breakers and eventually deep dive, which is a problem. At least if they're deep diving, we have agendas in hand. Let's say that's a good thing. Hey, just more 2-ofs all day long. Okay, let's fix our hand. Okay, we can res it now. Let's just discard cards again. We can get the light. I think we do want to get the Sansan in here. We haven't drawn into a Psycho or a Mad yet. If we can discard 2 cards here, we want to discard 1 license acquisition, 1 Bologna, I reckon. Or we can keep this. Again, it's F2P Enigma. They can't deal with the Enigma, but a Boomeranger Inside Job is going to change that tune pretty quickly. So we'll double ice server 6 so we don't lose this. So we want to keep the Beale because we can score it out next turn. So I think the license acquisition is just ugly when they get their mark on archive, especially because they make credits off of this. Like I don't want to throw out an agenda, but I feel like we have no choice. Bologna probably. I guess so. Don't love it. I just don't see how we score out a Bologna. Admittedly here they do need a decoder. Class act, filter draw 2, their own version of daily business show, just as good. I guess for corpse you don't want to flood. For runners you want to draw the right pieces. It's the same for us though. Interestingly enough, okay, now we're running. So this Enigma is actually going to connect, which you love to see. Take a click off of it. Actually like a really meaningful subroutine. Fun enough. And now they can't really go back unless they inside job. So it buys us, again, they have good HQ pressure. So we need to get this fired to get the Beale out of hand. In theory, also, we could push a license acquisition. It's not amazing. Second Cheswa. Okay. We'll take the Mad. Gets us towards a win condition. So we'll go install, get the cards out of HQ. This puts pressure here. Again, our economy is not gonna be amazing after we res this. If they trash it, we can always like biotic out, what's it called? License to bring it back. Now here, if we have biotic and mutually shared destruction, there's not that much we can do with it. If we have an agenda on the table, like a 5-3 or a Beale, we can always leave the agenda on the table, then do biotic and then mutually shared destruction to win, which actually I'd really love to be able to show that off. Like just put a Beale in server 11 and then we biotic, trash everything, and then psycho. Admittedly for that's pretty expensive because you need 4+4 plus how many advancements we need. We need to make a 4 agenda Beale, which is 7 advancements. So we need 15 credits to do that play. Immediately we have 15 credits here. Twinning's coming down. That's scary. But at least next turn, if we score the license acquisition, we can do something. By do something, I mean install something. And at that point, we can just get a 3-point to score. Dirty Laundry. Oh yeah, that works with Mystic. That's sick. All right. They can't get through the Enigma, so I don't think we res the Gold Farmer. I think we just res the Enigma. I'm surprised, right? Like, a lot of code gates would end the run here. White space wouldn't. It's just largely the Enigma. Magnet's really popular. But I'm not going to res that. I'll res this, though. Res the Enigma. All right, so this is going to hit. So they're not going to get their Daily Laundry. The reason the Gold Farmer just like taxes out some more money from them, it'd be 4 credits if they want to continue, and then they lose to this. But hey, we'll take it. Okay. What do we do here? Order here doesn't matter. Do we want to shuffle with the Maryland? We haven't seen a psychographics yet. I think if we don't shuffle, that means we can actually just pull the Maryland back with our ability. So I'm not going to shuffle it. The regular to Bologna. Bologna is a target for Beale, but we don't have the Psycho yet. So here we can do install advance with a license acquisition to get out the, well, we can decide. Server 6, advance, score. So now we can install something. So we can get the Maryland out in a new remote server that draws a card. It's a bit dodgy, but we don't really need the tiered. So at this point, if we top deck a Psycho, we really have some plays here. Now we've also emptied HQ, so the pressure there is a bit worse. We can also score this out and just score out there's 3 more 2-pointers in the list too, and we're drawing pretty cleanly with our daily business show. We got a Boomerang. Okay. So now they can bring it down. Again, it's going to be expensive. Actually, can they afford to? Boomerang gets through this. They need to have 5 credits. Mark on archives. Okay, this is good. This charges. They want to do this anyways. We have to make sure that we remember to use our Spin Doctor here. So we'll shuffle in 2 unknowns. Now, R&D is shuffled, so the Maryland idea, well, at least we got it back. I know they have 9 credits. Again, this is 4, so they'll have exactly enough if we res the Gold Farmer. And at that point, I think we just want to draw psychographics and try and get something. They don't have a breaker too. Like, we can put a Beale on the table or Bologna on the table and just try to, like, biotic. It's a Gold Farmer here. We probably want to res it. They can see 3 off the top of the deck. It's going to cost them 2 to break, and then they have to lose 2, so they can't use the Chesva credits. Oh, we can zoom in a bit. Joy. They're going to break. And they can see 3 here if they want to, which is going to lock us. Immediately, they can steal Bologna too, and all the Bolognas are in there. So if they keep locking the top of the deck, like, we can never draw the winning agendas. It's a bit different. Like, we can break lock every other turn with, like, Planogram obviously helps. Ooh, they got a tag. Oh, last click tag. Love to see it. So now we can do Planogram, trash the twinning, trash Mystic. Ooh. Yeah, this guy is can be pretty mean. It's hard to play around these 1-ofs, right? Choose 1 card. I don't think we need another Regolith. So here we can draw into psychographics. Is there anything wild we can do? It's also awkward if we want to mad this whole, like, we'd have to mad the table more likely. I want to get a Beale. Let's do this. Draw 3, gain 3. Okay, so we have the Bologna. We can put the Bologna on the table behind this. They have the Boomerang. They have to deal with the Gold Farmer, which is 4 credits. So they could do it. They still have to clear the tag, though. And if this sticks, we have the combo next turn. So we need to think here. Like, either we trash the twinning, which I don't think we care about that much, or to be able to cycle this, we need 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I think we can just hit the Regolith once. Yeah, let's just say we forgot about the tag, right? FTP is not very good on Centrals. Neither's Pop-Up. But if we survive a turn and they don't steal this, we can biotic and steal. Okay, they can definitely get through this. If they do steal the Bologna, though, I think we have a scoring window, but at that point, it's a bit risky. Especially with Mystic, this is a bit rough. But like, if this steals, we can do biotic mad, which would be like a phenomenal way to end this game. They have a single tag. They probably want to clear it. We didn't trash their twinning, but like, if you know your multi-axis is a resource, you have to be a bit scared. Retribution also is the thing, but we're not playing it. Some decks are. Inside job. Oh, please not. Shit. So they can deal with one of these. They can't deal with both of these. So they're on game point. This actually might cost us. If we res the Gold Farmer, they need to use a Boomerang, which I'm okay with. Yeah, maybe we should have gone slower and trashed either the twinning or the other one. Or Mystic. This is expensive though. Not this, but like, it's either steal or trash. Let's see the order they access. They probably want to access the unknown first. Of course you do. Sand. If they trash, oh, they trashed that. Oh no, so they can't steal the Bologna. Oh yeah, you always want to access the unknown, barring a ganked. Ganked is the one, I think, question mark in startup, but I wouldn't think you'd expect a ganked here. We got it. just want to make sure we have the money. I don't know if we have the money. Maybe we shouldn't have rezzed. Oh, we got more money. Okay. So if I'm not mistaken, we need to just get 5 tags, and technically 4 tags, but we do mad. So we do biotic. Yeah, we definitely have it. Mad. We just need 5. Yeah, we're fine. I'm gonna wipe the board. Shuffle Maryland. Oh wait, we don't have a psychographics? Wait, we don't have a psychographics? What are we doing? I thought we had a psychographics. I was so happy to do that. Oh no. This is embarrassing. Go F2P, go. Nah, nothing like that. Okay, let's just say that we're setting up for the future. What a smart play. They weren't expecting 10 tags. Oh, I thought we had a psychographics in hand. At no point in time was that reasonable. They're not deep diving at this turn. Ooh, good burst. But we can at least deal with the twinning. They could run R&D here and like win. There's a blown in the table though. So Archives is the mark. So they can't run R&D and then this. So we need to top deck a Psycho. In terms of the Psycho, we have 21 cards. We did just shuffle. Running Archives? Yeah, why not? Why? Why not? Why not is correct. They get the click back. Okay, we top deck a Psycho, we can do it. We can actually draw twice for Psycho. We just need to keep 5 credits. I'm so sorry if you're watching this. You'd be like, Andre, you don't have Psycho. What are you doing? F2P here is like an okay res. No, it's pretty bad res. Because then we can't Psycho out. Dawkins passes C2. Pad. They want to empty their twinning. Again, R&D is probably where the game is. They just want to get an agenda here because then there's a blown on the table. Maryland. Okay, cool. We're safe. Okay, pop up. Oh yeah, they saw a lot there. They saw the whole hand, excuse me. Come on, Psycho. This draws. Oh, we're so good at this game. So sorry. I'm so sorry you had to watch that. I forgot I didn't have that in hand. I'll be honest. I was so excited to biotic out the mad. We got there. It was on the top. We had 2 in so much. We had some very good card draw there, like predicted planogram is draw 3, gain 3. So like the chance of us drawing it wasn't 0. Obviously, like that was rough. I think they could have stole that and not done with the sand, but at that point, like we're not on game points. It's still pretty difficult. Yeah, we had 2 planograms there. So yeah, not perfect, but you saw that in theory the biotic line, which is why the biotic's in the list. All right. That's this list. Honestly, really fun. I've been surprised how much fun I've had with this. I've done node tuning. This is the first iteration of it, and it's like been working. I do think a lot of it comes down to your opponent trashing the right stuff and not trashing the right stuff, which is generally an issue with acid decks. We're not that aggressive on the board like some of the Bladderwort decks, which like force interaction, so the credits are a bit more difficult. But I do think if you trash your stuff, again, mad doesn't really work. At that point, maybe we can just score out the blowners. We did do that once, but that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed this game. See you in a bit. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, this deck has been just a surprising amount of fun. Mutually Assured Destruction as a tempo play. I don't think I did that enough, but I want to try it out. But here, I'm going to give a huge shout out. Again, huge thanks to all the patrons that support this channel, allow me to do the thing that I'm doing. We're going to read out some names. These, again, are the Sure Gamble and higher patrons. Thank you so much for your support to Sebastian Colorado, Dan Bouchard, Bookkeeper, Henny Hebisha, Levi Corner, Joe T, Sauce, Astrolad, Chris Watt, Spray, Awesome Case, Sebastian Coes, Zane Shrev, I Feel Fine, Adam and Fish, Scott S, Izzy Stardust, Arthur Pitt, Dan Lewis, Chris Mitchell, Andrew Robertson, Matthew Chanwell, Scott Humphrey, Stefan Primal, Jason Gessner, Ewan Milne, Elliot Mobby, Kat Shen, Chris, Lucas, Sven Vizan, Tim Ashton, Lee Butler, Daniel Cook, New Object, Clement Marshall, Nathan Durant, PR Small, 222, Luke Dennis, Jeff Bennett, Matt Conduit, Kin Elwin, Shane Lilly, Jalen Horm, Alec, Spooky Noises, Acarium, Jay Verrill, Dev Invincibility, Zach Cruz, Cror, Sean Devlin, Jenny, Frank Fortin, Jossie Baron, Jonky Bong, Nathan Hutner, JC, Taekwondine, Phil Ulrich, Artem Mikhalitson, Andrew Jolly, and Encoder. Thank you so much for your support, of course, and huge thank you to all their Daily Cast supporters. Your contributions are incredibly appreciated. And that's all for this. Again, I'm gonna try this archetype a bit more. It's nice to be back in startup. It's been a bit. We're gonna have some new cards coming out soon. If you have any cool deck ideas, don't hesitate to let me know, and enjoy the recommended content. Ciao.